the nostalgia, the tradition, the magic, the memories, and the madness in 1,000 points of improvised dialogue. Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz on the Improviser's Guide Network. Now is the time.
Forever?
Miss Tomorrow.
Old.
About a minute and a half.
Hashtag always MGM.
Step out to your right.
Old.
The secret staircase.
We always do that.
You are approaching the unloading area.
Behold the majesty of the Sistine Seal.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
What a cute ending.
Aloha and welcome aboard. This is Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and we are here with the first guest of 2021.
It's so exciting.
It's very exciting. First guest of 2021. Now I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say something bold here right at the top.
Oh, okay.
Our guest today is perhaps one of the most recognizable entertainers in the history of Disney's Hollywood studios.
Oh, it's bold, but I think it's true.
It was very bold of me to say Disney's Hollywood studios. So,
well, that's very bold of you because it's hashtag always MGM.
Correct.
Yeah.
So going forward, hashtag always MGM. I got it out. I said it. But and this is also the first guest who may have seen me, can say wholeheartedly they saw me in action as a cast member.
Right. That's true.
So I don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But say what? Anything can happen. Please welcome to Theme Park Thursday. It's Heather Delmotte. Heather!
Yeah.
Hi.
How are you?
Happy New Year. Thanks for being our first guest of the new year.
It's very exciting. I'm so glad we turned the page on the year.
Seriously, this is why we need the joy today. We have to kick off the new year right. Set the standard for the rest. Yes.
Let's do it.
All right.
Now, because Heather and I know each other, I feel like I'm also still at the same time going to learn things I never asked or never thought to ask or have clearly forgotten. I feel like there's going to be a lot of jogging of the brain today. So I'm excited for that. Heather, just tell me a little bit about where you grew up, where you're from, the whole thing, what your early days were like in childhood.
Oh, gosh. I grew up in Michigan. And then when I was about 7 or 8, we moved to Atlanta because my mom became a flight attendant. So she was based down there. So then I grew up there a bit too. And then we ended up going back to Michigan about 7, 8 years later. And I actually ended up going to the same high school that my mom and her siblings had gone to.
And
I
love that.
It.
We're very nostalgic. We love that.
Typing teacher, but my mom was really good at typing, and that was the only subject I got a C in, and all of my other ones were A's. I was a disaster. So I grew up outside of Detroit and a suburb of Atlanta.
Very nice. So then were you traveling down to Florida during childhood? Were you vacationing? What was your Disney experience like during childhood? Were you a Disney fan?
Oh God, yes. We started going since I was 2 years old, at least every other year, if not every year. And I was told one of the first things that happened, I vaguely remember, when you hear the story so many times, you're like, well, do I really remember it? Or have I just been told that I, picture it in my mind? But we were staying at the Polynesian Resort.
Yes.
And I guess my mom and my uncle were admiring their tans in the mirrors. We waited for the elevator. I got in the elevator and the doors shut and I was by myself. And I think they heard a scream. I can't remember. So one of them ran, it was a very modern family. But yeah, so that was a memory. And then another memory I have of Disney is my grandma, when I was real little, she used to wear a wig all the time. She doesn't anymore. But my uncle took her on Space Mountain and we thought she was going to lose her wig on the
ride. Nice.
If only they had pictures back then, because now they do the picture on Space Mountain, but
oh my God,
that would have been a good picture.
So, yeah, he probably wrote it like this.
Yeah.
Now, was it one of those things that you knew, but she didn't know that you knew? How was
Oh, about her wig?
Yeah. Or was it just
no,
common
we
knowledge?
knew.
Oh.
Everybody knew. Oh, are you kidding me? Because at the end of the day, she would take her wig off and scratch her head. Which, as anyone has worn a wig, like, do you know how good that feels?
What you gotta do,
my God. But yeah, we always went, and I'll tell you this, I would cry like the last 2 days of our vacation every time.
Yeah.
I hated leaving, and I would make my mom buy me everything so that like my house could look like it's a small world, or I just wanted every piece I could possibly have. Remember how cool the gift shop was outside of Pirates, where it had all this cute Caribbean stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I had all that. I don't know. I had to have everything, and I cried.
Yeah.
Right.
And have you ever, because we sometimes wonder, like, what really hooked our parents to Disney, because we grew up with it the same way. Do you know what hooked to be like, we're going to keep doing this. This is good. Keep coming back. Just that Disney magic.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I think it was because it was something that wasn't very attainable for my mom as a kid. You know, he was one of 4, and my grandpa worked his tail off. So they didn't take vacations like that. And I think, once we went and got hooked, and plus, being in Michigan, I mean, all we wanted to do was get out of the cold,
Yeah.
Right.
and go to palm trees.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I know so little about that beautiful state of Michigan, which now I look at Pure Michigan commercials and I'm like, oh my God, I want to go there. But because it's novel to me, and when I lived up there, I couldn't care less because Orlando was novel to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you just always had such a good time. And we love the churros and just all the stupid things.
Yeah.
That are big deals. Like,
Yes.
and honestly, the way people made us feel. Like I remember, and we used to stay at those hotels also on Hotel Plaza Boulevard. There was a place called the Dutch Inn because we loved going to the Disney Village Marketplace.
Yes.
When like there was just like a child's playground and I think a sandwich deli. But I remember being in like a van and the driver reminded me of like Frankie, the Musketeer, right? Is it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was.
Maybe.
I think he wore
Sounds
ears.
sounds right.
Yeah.
He was just so enthusiastic, and you don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The so since you mentioned the Polynesian too, when these changes come, like, it's been like 8 years since they got rid of the rainforest inside the lobby, but now they're like doing even more of the construction to the lobby. Does it hurt your soul a little bit, or are you okay with change? We just want to know your stance before we continue.
I am never okay with change.
Excellent. You look perfect. That's us.
Well, I'll tell you what I miss about the waterfall is when you walk in, it had a certain smell, like the
Yes.
water had a smell.
Yes.
But I do think it's beautiful now, and I do love boutique-y.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very old school.
Yeah.
I'm nostalgic.
Excellent. You belong here.
We cannot get rid of the electrical water pageant.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
100%. No.
I mean, just
Never.
right to Frank's soul. I mean, that would be a dagger. Yeah.
And Carousel of Progress.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
100%. These are the things that must remain.
Yes. I mean, my girlfriend's husband won me over. Not that he had to win me over. I already loved him, but like he locked it in when their kids were really little and they came to Disney, and he wanted to do Carousel of Progress because he loved it. And I'm like, I love this man.
He's in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what determined, because I don't even know what put your foot in the door initially as a cast member, what made the determination of like, now I want to go work here. I love it. I want to go work here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember not wanting to work there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the impetus was my mom flew with a girl that had done the college program. So I never knew about it. And we heard about it through her. And I had called a couple times to because I mean, we didn't have the web.
Yeah.
You had to like figure stuff out. And I had just missed like their Michigan recruiting 2 times in a row. So over maybe like 6 months to a year period. I finally heard they were coming into town. I think I skipped my classes at college, like an hour and a half to Lance. I don't know if they were at Michigan State University or where. I think it was MSU. And, I wore my business suit, and that's it. I hated being interviewed in groups though. 'Cause like you think you're the only one that loves it that much and knows that much about it. And then you are like, nope, there are other geeks in the world that are even more annoyingly like into the magic than I am.
Yeah.
And I remember the recruiter lady reminded me of Annette Funicello, and I'm like, she's so perfectly Disney. And you looked at her nails and her hair and her makeup, because they were really hard on the Disney look back then. I mean,
Right.
anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I could have facial hair, I'd still be working there. If I could have facial hair. 100%. The college, because as we were preparing, I was like, I think she did the college program, but I'm not. If we go there, we go there.
Yeah.
Everyone that we talk to, fans and everything, they're like, I wish I knew the college program existed back then. And now obviously now, as of today, it's not there, but it's very common now that the college program helps support the cast member staff so much. For you, just talk about how that it seemingly changed everything for you, or supported what you already knew. You can talk about your experience in the college program.
You just wanted to work for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first time you go on a cruise and you're like, you don't care about the ship or really where you go. You just want to go on a cruise.
Yeah.
Right. And you just want to work for Disney. You want to see the tunnel. You want to get your name tag. And I had actually hoped to gain more like career direction from it. Mm-hmm. Because like in high school, I thought I wanted to be an elementary school teacher, but then like I taught dance and I thought, oh my God, like I love these kids, but I mean, it's hard, like 40 minutes once a week is hard. I don't know how I could do it 5 days for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I thought I wanted to like own my own company where, I would provide childcare and a gym for my employees. Like, don't ask me what I thought I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to be like a good boss.
Yeah.
Right.
And like one bad economics class in college, and that idea was out the door. So I had hoped to gain some more direction, because I didn't know, and like I'm type A and I'm a Capricorn, so I need to have a plan and structure. And I don't know how I've survived for this long, being this like about jobs all the time. It's insane. But then it's like, I can't not do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
when you went to the interview for with the recruiting and everything else, you didn't know which department you would end up in, or it was just, I got to get into Disney?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they had asked you like I don't remember at what point they asked us where we could see ourselves working. I don't remember what I said. I think you could pick 3 different like areas of business. So I probably did like attractions, costuming, because I thought costuming was going to be all the pretty dresses, not,
Right.
you don't think of daily operating.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And my other one was probably like food and beverage, because I think there was, custodial. And I mean, there weren't many, and you kind of just, I think you prioritize them in order, but you did not know what you were getting. And I ended up, oh my God, I worked at the studios.
Hey, that's right. You went right into the department where we met.
No, I did attractions.
You did?
Oh, what attraction.
The, characters was not an option at that time. It was not even on the table for college programmers. So there's a funny story. Oh my God. Yeah. So I did the Inside the Magic special effects and production tour.
Okay.
Which was like the water tank and the workshop, and then the shooting stage with the bee. Yeah. And then from then on, the tour guide people took them. So we just did those 3 portions.
Wow.
And it was fun, because you got to learn a spiel. So it was kind of like acting. And then after that, I went home and I was there for a year, and like I was teaching dance and going to college and waitressing at Chili's, and I had this like Disney poster above my desk because I didn't feel any more like I thought, okay, maybe I'll major in French and then maybe I can work at Disneyland Paris, because I just thought that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And minor in dance, because what else would I do? I don't know. I remember like it being, I could hear the wind like whistling outside in Michigan. It was so cold. And I would just look at my poster and just want to be there so badly. Well, and actually, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. At the end of that college program, I did audition for the entertainment department. And I did, get cast. And I went to like a Voyage of the Little Mermaid audition, and I think I was on deck to learn that too. But I had a boyfriend back home, and I didn't have my own car or a place to live, and I needed the Vista Way accommodations and transportation.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a big reason for me also going home.
Yeah.
So of course he and I broke up, and I wanted to come back. And so I did another college program where I did attractions at Epcot in the Land Pavilion. No, I didn't do the boat ride. I did the Circle of Life Theater and Food Rocks.
Nice.
That's wild. I definitely don't recall that at all, but that's interesting. The 2 rounds of college program, and then you end up at the Land, and this is why people are so nostalgic for the Land. We're not as nostalgic about the Land, but people are wild with the nostalgia for the Land.
What do they miss about it?
I see, Heather. This is why we get along so well.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not arguing.
I think it's that a lot of it still seems unchanged, even though like the theater changed, and
I think living with the Land is a big draw for the folks that are nostalgia for it, which I'm not. I need to go on it again. I feel like I've probably been on it a handful of times in my entire life. So, and it's been a while again.
And I would say I felt the same way about this, what's now the seas, but the living seas. And, especially having the kid who loves the aquarium, like suddenly I love it. It's super nostalgic to me. I was like, it feels awesome to go through the aquarium. There's so many areas untouched from the 80s. Regardless.
I mean, if we're going to talk about nostalgia, don't get me started on Horizons.
Yeah.
Well, that would, we suffered through that time. We did that and the delays of Test Track.
One time I went on Horizons before my shift at the Land because I had extra time. And I had so bought into the ride, you guys, that I'm alone in my car. And I'm like, they must have to put on diving suits to clean that.
Yeah.
There's no water in there.
No.
Yeah.
That's how much I believed I was underwater.
Yeah.
Hey, your suspension of disbelief is real, and I love it.
That's
It
right.
is so real.
Good.
Okay, so let me tell you this funny story. And Frank, do you know formerly Mary Zerby, now Mary Firestone?
Sure. She probably doesn't remember me as much, but I recognize the name, yes.
Oh, please. You're unforgettable. Okay, so she, on my second college program, she was one of my roommates. And by the way, that college I had the best roommates. We were like the friends. And we had these boys across the hall, and we never needed to leave our apartment because we had so much fun.
Yeah.
But so it was move-in day, and Mary is like, and she has this Pennsylvania accent. And so she's like, yeah, I'm doing characters. And my other friend that was on my first college program with me also ended up being in our roommate apartment. And she knew how bad I wanted to be in characters. I wanted to be Snow White so bad after my first program that I literally cried so hard the last time we saw Spectrum Magic. But so Claudine knew that I was probably going to blow a gasket because I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? They let college program people do characters. And I was kind of jealous and pissed at her just under the surface. But I love her so much, and her daughters are amazing. So, but isn't that funny?
Yeah.
What the heck?
I don't want to forget to ask this question, but once you were in the department, did you ever run over at the end of your shift to do Spectro? Because I didn't, and I regret it to this day.
No, I did never do that, and I probably don't regret it. Only, yes, it would have been cool to do, but I think I would have died.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it too. You wiped out at the end of the day and just pushing it to that extent. I think that was part of why I never did it, but after it was gone, I was like, you fool.
Oh, I know. Well, but for me, I would only want to do very specific things.
Sure.
Right? What would you have wanted to do?
Well, I think that's that's probably part of it, but yeah, it wouldn't be the things that I would need to be trained for. No.
You want to do trumpeter, or
Right.
I want to be harp girl.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Or Cinderella, which is never gonna, or Snow White.
My first memory of you is clearly the lasting memory, I think, but it's probably during this whole time period of basically these trailers that were behind Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Sci-Fi Restaurant in there behind the streets of America. How long into was that? Because I feel like that was the fall, maybe. And was that summer before when you were in college program and you transferred over, or was there still time?
I was in the program in the fall, both times.
Okay.
And then I got characters like that January.
Oh, okay. So then it probably carried over. Okay.
Yeah. Because what was
That sounds right. Now that you say that, you are correct.
there was a Toy Story parade and then the Hercules
The Hercules parade. Yeah. So, okay. It's funny that, during that time that I felt like a shift in the department because I had been there for a little while at that point. So I feel like, Fantasmic was coming. So that period of Toy Story to Hercules to Mulan parade almost was like very whirlwind. And by that time that whirlwind was over, Fantasmic took over the department.
Pretty much.
Did you end up getting trained at Mermaid eventually?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I learned that really early on. And you know what? And that's what I loved about it then, before everything went global, is that it felt like high school. Like there were this core, maybe 200 of us.
Yeah.
That, you would work within the same park. So you would run into a lot of the same people, and there was good variety. Like if you could do things, then you got trained in more things.
Right.
And I loved it. Like I really liked that variety, and it was just so exciting because it was unlike any other job.
There was so much happening. It felt like there were always things happening.
Did you do Mermaid?
I did not do Mermaid. I blew the audition for Mermaid tremendously because they gave me Dolphin, and I had like baseball shoulder like issues. So an elbow, like I think it's actually my elbow, but it was I at the time I felt like I overcompensated with my shoulder, so I could not get him to turn over, and I was like, I just blew it. So that was the end. Yeah.
What other areas were you in during that time?
Let's see. Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
I was very good friends with it. I thought I was going to die. And I think Gary was probably like one of the best people at it. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. I just have to, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can't see that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was weird. Let's edit that out. What else? What else was happening? It just felt like you did like everything. And then I loved the parades were so fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would never fly now, but did you do Green Army Man in the Toy Story?
I did.
With
with the plastic feet
and running up and down the float to get them. I mean, I don't think that would be allowed nowadays.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I love how in rehearsal they're like, make sure you're 20 feet ahead so you don't get run over by the float. Okay. But you have us running towards the float.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always a danger.
I remember the first time I did that, I think I was like starting to get sick. So you know how you have like the postnasal drip breath and you were like asphyxiating yourself in the gear. And I remember we went up, to do that like Iwo Jima pose or what, and we just hold there. So we like dance our butts off, and Guyton doing gymnastics, like he's doing shoulder rolls and I'm like, God, it's so good. And I'm up there, and like they'd have you stand still for like 2 8 counts, whatever, while this, and I'm thinking this is the worst part of and I kept saying, I swear, in my mind, because I think I was new and I didn't want to like, and plus not many girls did it, so I didn't want to look like Miss Whiny Pants.
Yeah.
But I was like, I swear to God, when that music starts, I am not getting off of this. Can I say that?
Yeah, no, we'll bleep it out.
We'll bleep it out. It's fine.
I just like, and then the music would come on, and the sergeant would be like, "Oh, okay," and I'd be like, "God."
Yeah, that's true. When anytime stopping was the worst thing in the world. You had to keep going. Like, the genie is dancing around the restaurant. The worst thing is like, just keep moving until you're in the trailer.
Yeah.
I won't feel the sweat dripping down my back if we don't stop.
Yeah, it is that musical theater joke of the when they're done like the big number, and there's always like a little like, let's make it funny, and they like pant wildly. Like that's how it was.
Yes.
Well, and the one thing that and I said to Jen, we never talked about this on a podcast, so we need to talk about it, is the Hunchback of Notre Dame stage show. That's what I remember you like really starting to take off, and just I feel like that show is so important, so important to. What did I do?
No, she said I really took off.
Really took off.
You took off. You took off. In my eyes, you took off. And so in that show, I feel like it's so memorable to so many people, guests, the performers, everything. What made it so special for you?
I think how tight we were. And I'll tell you a funny thing. I was told that I had gotten cast because we were losing a lot of people in our park to go open Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there was a lot of people making their exit. And the day I was told was Topsy-Turvy Day.
That's right.
And I remember Todd Houlihan, I don't remember if it was John Cole or who the manager was that brought me in the toy box to tell me. And then I remember Todd Houlihan's face looking through the glass in the door.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it because it was going to be, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved doing the Hercules parade and doing Mermaid and, all the shows and the variety and being in the gallery with the antics going on,
Right. Yeah.
And I just didn't want to miss it. But once I started rehearsing, I totally got that it was a big deal because the cast that was doing the show were so invested and all crying and, cause they're having last days. And I'm just like, okay, wow, I am hooked.
Yeah.
I think it was because we just had each other. So it was kind of like we were on this island, which I feel bad that many people outside of that thought that we were snooty or whatever, but it was only because we worked a lot. We were always in rehearsals, because there were 4 female tracks and 7 or 9 boy tracks, and you had to be cross-trained. So, and there was just always a lot of turnover, with new equity people coming in and going and, and we made our own fun on our breaks in that green room. It was small. We didn't have, we had one TV and a VCR and that's why it was also so rich. And the castmates from that show who I speak to today, because some I just don't speak to. I meant who I keep in touch with or who I see, once in a while. We always mention green rooms are not like that anymore because you could be in a room with 12 people and it's just this.
Yeah.
Or
everyone's
they're
on their phone.
Right.
And, we made our own fun and it got there was as much fun on our breaks as there was on stage.
Yeah.
As we talked about, I would never know the Wyclef album really the way I do if not for the trailer we hung out with.
Who brought that in? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I almost see the little boombox more than I do. It was like a black little cassette player thing. So I don't remember it, but the music just stands out so much in my head. It's so funny.
Because you you're the white guy and we had heard it. I don't know. It just really got ingrained in you, and then you started singing.
Yeah, once the earworm happens on me, it's all over. So,
and just being in that tiny trailer, but that was fun. I loved seeing our Toy Story friends on New York Street.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun. Before there was Toy Story 4, there was Woody and Bo on New York Street.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask too. Do you know your earliest memory of working together, when you first worked together?
Because I think that time in working with the Toy Story characters, it was such a standout. It really is because the parades are their own thing, but in terms of working and just doing sets and meet and greets and things like that, that period of time is how I remember Heather. But I do remember probably just in parade stuff, because the thing that always stood out about Heather is her physicality. She's always been you could spot her a mile away. She just carries herself a certain way, whether she's trying to be funny or serious or whatever, it's like her presence stands out from a mile away, which is why she continues to keep doing her thing.
We're just going to talk about you like you're not here. Go on.
Sorry, wow, gosh.
You're eavesdropping. Eavesdropping on Frank fangirling.
But so that time stood out because when you play off somebody and you're doing something that's purely, it sounds wrong, physical, but it went a long way with me. And people always ask me, years later, like, how did you learn to do all the physical? I was like, well, I was working with the characters because I wanted to be that physical. I wanted to get as physical as I could within the confines.
Yeah, because you have to be 10 times bigger than a person that isn't in one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, that's something that really stands out is the lessons that we learned from doing that type of work really make a difference. It helped prepare me better for other things.
Right.
Even if it's don't stand near a garbage can when I take a picture. But like,
true.
That's stupid, isn't it? Because everyone should know it, but they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. And it makes that much of a difference. Yeah. I mean, so that's my earliest impression.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think peripherally, yes, we were, but yeah, that was such an intimate, that trailer we broke in was so teeny tiny.
Yes. We're mentioning intimacy. We're mentioning physically. It's all true. It's true. But just to close the loop on Hunchback, that Hunchback still, I feel like, gets such a bad rap in Disney lore that even they've been trying to get it to Broadway for years. It's touched New Jersey over here, but the music is so great and the characters are so great. And that stage show, before there was Festival of the Lion King and before the shows, the Nemo musical, the things that people go to now, like there had to be a Hunchback before those musicals could take off, those stage shows could take off.
It was so special and so theatrical. And even years after I learned the show, if we had a swing or whenever I would go watch it in the house, I would just marvel at everything on stage that I knew was going to come to life that just looked like set pieces. Everything was utilized. And the first time I ever saw that show as a guest, I thought there were like 50 people in the show.
Right.
Yeah.
One person is doing like 6 different things. And it was just really cool. And I think another thing that was very special is how connected we all were. Our costumers, cosmetology, technicians, stage managers, the equity cast, and the character cast. Because I had worked, other places where it didn't feel like that. And that was another thing that made me nervous about going there
Yeah. No, totally. And I mean, and talking about Fantasmic and Animal Kingdom opening, and now my memory goes a little bit more with, we joke a lot here on the podcast that we're AK haters because Animal Kingdom doesn't hold that place that the other parks do. And now I'm like, at the time, like, I feel like my time at Disney was winding down because of Fantasmic, and there was like the split of our department basically. And I felt like I was not on the side of Fantasmic because I was still doing school and everything else, that I felt like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. It's not the same anymore. But then the Animal Kingdom, and I was like, oh, this is, so I don't think I put that together until now.
Why you didn't go over to the Animal Kingdom during that split. It's shocking that you didn't go that way.
No, I love the studios. I'm such a studios guy. No way. I was never going to leave. If I was going to stay forever, I would never leave the studios. No way.
Yeah.
And do you think though that's because like we didn't grow up on Animal Kingdom, so we don't have that nostalgia for it either?
Yeah, it's definitely, that's what usually we go to. And especially in those, like I lived, there those first 3 years that it was open, and Jen lived there mid 2000s, somewhere in there, that, I feel it's not what it is now. It's not what for people in their 20s think about it now. But, I think the last 10, 15 years has been great for the Animal Kingdom.
And we like it there. We just think it's like, if I'm there for a weekend, we're probably not making time for it. If we're there longer, I'll go over there.
The other picture that I only have a few photos from that time working at the studios too, which is just like too bad. But there is a group photo of that we're both in from drinking around the world in Epcot. And I think it was, I want to say it was, you had to be there, so maybe you remember that we watched Illuminations from the top of the Mexico Pavilion.
Oh yes,
yeah,
that was one of like Houlihan would arrange these character fun nights. Wasn't Kathy Sandage with us too?
Yes, yeah, she's in that picture. Yep,
that was so cool.
Yeah, it was like one of the coolest experiences of being a cast member there.
Yeah,
sure.
That was so nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, some of the coolest things were like the all-night rehearsals.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why, but I loved when like we had catering because I felt like I was on a movie set, like eating in the like float. What do you call it? Like a carport. It was like a carport.
Right.
But I'm like, oh my God, we're eating in the. It just felt like something that like Tom Cruise did on a movie set.
Yeah. Those the parade, the rehearsals into the night, and then you'd walk through the park or whatever. After, it was always such a cool feeling. And
oh my God, yes. Or like when dawn was coming and the final run was happening and like it was morning and it was so beautiful. I remember I burst into tears because that was like the first thing I ever opened.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, can I tell you, like the day it was closing, I was curled up in the restroom in the Hunchback trailer, like bawling my eyes out.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Did you do one of the workout guys on the float?
I trained for it, but I never did. They announced that it was going away before I actually did it.
Oh,
I did Hydra more than anything else.
Okay.
And speaking of the dawn rising, on Disney Plus now they have the sunrise on Cinderella's castle and sunrise in Epcot and sunrise in the Animal Kingdom. Where is the studios? Where? It's awesome. You should check it out. It's great.
Yes. It's nice just to have
That's
on.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they definitely need studios now that they got rid of the big cat. I know it's a big hat, but one day we said, we're going to get together in front of the big cat. And our cosmetology lady's like, where's the big cat? So I have to say it like that.
Yeah. It was a rough time, those 2000s.
That wasn't really,
Doing.
And the hand on Spaceship Earth and
when did you realize that all right, I want to do more. I want to expand my performance repertoire, as it were.
When I had to.
The best time.
Kind of like what I should be doing now. Well, I always loved performing, but I was more like dancer, like I danced and that. So, but I did, when I was doing Hunchback, I got to cross train as Laverne, the gargoyle. They had rehearsed some of us gypsies into equity roles as backups, but I did get to do it quite a bit and it was really fun. And when the show closed, I was just like really lost. I mean, we didn't have a lot of notice and it was very overwhelming just how many like fans were coming, and it was just too much to emotionally handle. And so I was really depressed after it closed, and we all still had jobs, which I was grateful for, but it just felt like I was just going backwards.
Yeah.
And everything had become global by then. So there was like the family was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just felt like useless, and I was in the pool. So you were just doing like whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was so bad, but I was doing, should I say?
You can say, and I can edit any way you want.
Yeah.
I was working at the studios many days and with some of our Muppet friends. And I remember like thinking after every set, I'm going to go in that trailer. I'm going to quit, right? I'm just going to quit. And I'd go in the trailer and I would change my clothes and I would sit on the couch and not quit. And I was very excited though, because, our show had closed in late September and I got cast in the Christmas stuff at the Magic Kingdom, which I always wanted to do. Like every year I auditioned and I never got to do it because Hunchback couldn't really release us because, you know, they need all these people for all these extra shows. I was finally going to learn the castle show and the parade and like good roles. And I was in rehearsals, and it wasn't sinking in. And it was just kind of like, it didn't matter.
Right.
And I hated that it didn't matter, but I just thought, okay, I need to just quit because I am really unhappy. I was really depressed.
Yeah.
Because we thought like our whole family just had a bowling ball dropped on it and we all scattered, you know,
Right.
we were such a tight, you know, codependent for me path that it was killing me. So I thought, you know, I quit after that. And Frank Archidiacono actually really helped me because I was like, Frank, you know, I have to go like today. And I just had a couple parade shifts left at the studios, which were fine because I still liked doing that. But I'm like, there's no point in me going to any of these Magic Kingdom rehearsals anymore because I'm not going to do it. So if you want to take me out of that, please.
Right.
And I just remember like apologizing to the staging specialist because I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have to go. I hate my life right now. So I went to work at Wolfgang Puck because I'm like, I liked eating there. I know, right? What's that? It sounds crazy. But I mean, I was so unhappy that I needed to take a severe pay cut and do something else to, I think, make me really have to figure stuff out. So I was working there and just taking acting classes with Yvonne Suhor and at Art's Sake and at SAC, you know, and I was sort of hoping that like I would take all the classes at SAC and then maybe start there, but that was not my cup of tea. I mean,
right.
And you know who was in my class who was so funny was Tim Williams and Mike Marinaccio.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, right?
Both of
Now
them
I'm like,
who I went to college
probably
with. You know?
Yeah. They were so funny. Like Mike Marinaccio once picked up a like an A-frame wet floor sign because we had to like make it into stuff. He picked it up and was like, Zach Morris's phone. I'll never forget it. They were just, and like I loved Tim Williams and his like at the time he kind of had this like 80s feathered hair going on.
Yeah.
I took all the levels and then we had to do a graduation show. And I was so nervous that day. I painted the ceiling of the kitchen and I wished that I would fall off the ladder and something would happen to me. So I didn't have to do it. Or like driving there, I'm like getting in a terrible accident.
Oh my God.
I was so scared. I mean, now I think I would be a little more comfortable, but like at the time, I just can't be like, give me a suggestion. Okay, I'm going to make a 20-minute scene up about like a cotton ball.
Right. Yeah.
That's
well,
scary.
and I think too, in some ways, like I was never, you know, when I started doing the Renaissance Festival, it was the same kind of thing. Like I never came back to the city and was like, oh, I just want to do like improv shows. Like that never interests me. And I think a lot of it had to do with the character work that was going on, that it was we were creating bigger worlds in some way and bigger things that it never jived with me, and so I always wanted to be more of a big interactive character with the audience. So I, you know, without really, you know, diving too deep, I don't want to dive too deep. But you look at especially the last 10 years or so, and just to talk about maybe Citizens of Hollywood. I mean, to me, Jack Diamond is like, you know, that's our icon right here. But right next to him, I would say that Betty Shambles is the next iconic character. Jen, you would agree?
I concur.
You concur. I mean, if you were, you know, taking a step back and looking at Betty Shambles,
right,
and her place in the world on Hollywood Boulevard, what would you talk about?
I mean, she's pretty good, right? She's okay.
Okay. I do think it's important to say that it's like one cannot exist without the other. Like we really need all the people to better create the world and the relationships and the high-low status and, all that. Like,
high-low status. I love you so much. You excite me when you say things like that, Heather.
Getting intimate.
Love it. Cutting right to my soul. High-low status. I'm so excited.
Well, it's richer, and I think it's more accessible, and it kind of takes the fear away from people, where guests are passing by and worried about maybe being put on the spot. If they see two characters interacting and something is going down, then they're pulled in because they're like, I want to know what this is about,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What am I supposed to say?
What do you want me to say?
Well, I feel like we can say this confidently because when we were there last January, which is almost a year, God help us, of the longest year ever, we saw both Betty Shambles and Jack Diamond. So we were able to see them in person, and so our hypothesis, that's not the right word, is correct. It's not the word I want. That's fine.
Who are some of, just because I don't know, who are some of like the physical comedians, whichever you want to choose, that you always look to for inspiration over time? Because you got again, the presence, the physicality, the whole thing. I would love to know.
I loved Three's Company and Jack Tripper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like one of my dreams. I hate that he died because not like I'm still ever famous enough, but I really wanted to be like famous enough so that he could be my friend and we could do a cooking show, but he would do it as Jack Tripper. Cause remember he was chef.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
I really
amazing.
wanted that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That is so funny. I just said to Jen 2 nights ago, I said I was flipping the channels the other day and I saw Three's Company come up and I was like, I want to stop all the time. but Mrs. Dillo, as we call her here, was sitting next to me. Like, I can't stop on Three's Company. I don't want to.
I was like, you have to. You have to do it.
I mean, that was a staple in our house. 6 o'clock every night growing up. Oof.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
a great one.
like Carol Burnett and Lucy so much. Lucy's someone I got into like much later, and I started getting up. I'm like the geriatric person where I like to go to bed early and wake up early and then just sit with my coffee. And so the I Love Lucy's would be playing on the Hallmark Channel unless it's Christmas, and then I watch a whole Christmas movie. That could be a whole other podcast.
You need to be our third co-host because you've checked all the boxes. So yeah.
Anytime. And if anyone's ever sick, I'll be the Anderson Cooper of the Kelly and Ryan.
Excellent.
We have a friend of ours that sent us matching Hallmark Christmas movie shirts for for Christmas.
That's a good friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I ordered like a bootleg one off of Etsy last year, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
Nice. That's really, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned high status, low status, and we talk about the physical nature and stuff, but that's what draws people to you as a person and a performer. And I love that the friendship that we had, has continued on, but now I get to be part fan and part friend. And that's like super exciting to me.
And it's crazy how many friends we have in common, like
I know.
after our time together.
Yeah, and it always comes up like all of a sudden one of us will be tagged with somebody else, and we're like, "Hey, who I know?" And you mentioned
that
Tim
Orlando
Williams. Circle. Yeah, Tim and I did a show together for the first time ever 4 years ago when he was up here doing Joe's NYC Bar, and I mean he's still probably like seen in my life, in person, just because again the presence and the voice and the whole thing. It's an amazing thing to watch, but. Going just to gush on you a little bit more, I see on social media how many people talk about you and dress up like you. I've seen all these things over the years, and like it tickles me to see you excel in this way and be this icon for so many people and so many guests at the studios, especially because it's our home park.
Yeah, it is. I love that it's our home park. And I love when I hear those songs on Sunset Boulevard. I remember overhearing them in the gallery.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I had
Like
to
that gift shop used to be our break room.
when finally you could find such things on the internet and see like what the actual playlist was on Sunset. Like I had to like buy them all then.
Oh,
just,
yeah,
like, put them in
yeah.
order and like I love my mother. Like
Totally.
The Slow Boat to China, all of those. Come on.
Yes. The and their Christmas songs like give me so much freaking life. I mean, I can't even tell. It's like my oral Prozac.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, but there are some things that like I was scared to death. And luckily everyone that had already worked there pretty much said the same thing. They're like, you know, you're going to drive, like Tim Williams even was like, I cried driving home from rehearsal.
Yeah.
Because everyone just wants to be like that good for all the partners that have paved the way, or they're just so good at what they do that we want to come in and be that good like right away.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you know you're doing that kind of interactive theater work right, is when it's able to break down those boundaries a little bit and connect a little more to you.
Yeah.
Like that's how you know that what you're doing is the right thing.
Well, and like I always say this, Tim Goodwin, who is very good friends with Officer Percival Peabody, who is like, to me, he is the Tim Conway. I mean, I tell him that all the time. And, you know, he said one thing to me that I'll never forget. And it made such a huge difference to me because it allowed me to flip the switch. He said, don't ever be afraid to bomb.
Right.
Because that took me out of the, I have to be perfect, into the, I can try anything. And who cares? Nobody cares.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'll learn from it and then I'll adjust it the next time I try that bit. And if it doesn't work 3 times, I should probably stop doing it.
Yeah. Dare to suck is how I learned it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Louis Gravance was our Shelby mayor. And I mean, like he is, I'm not going to say he is so good. Okay. We got to observe him doing a solo and he just takes the car and owns the street. And everybody is attracted to him. And he said, people love to hear what we have to think about them. Like people want to know what we think about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, that is odd, but I've come to learn it's really true. And there have been a couple of times, and I mean, he has everybody in the palm of his hand.
Oh, always.
And only like twice in the last 8 years have I had a moment where I'm doing my work and I'm like, this must be how Louis felt all the time. And I,
the Louis
like,
moment.
in my head, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, but again, that was 2 times. But it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that you like grew up the same way we did with like going to Disney and it was your vacation spot and you were like, I need to work there. I need to live there. And like now you have people dressing up as you. Like that's amazing.
It is. It is. I feel so bad though, because I love when they come like that, or it's so generous of them when they give us gifts, which I hate saying that because I don't ever want it to sound like I need gifts. I don't. Their words mean more to me. Or if I look on Instagram and I see a picture, because I often use that as my barometer for, am I doing my job? Like, is my neutral something? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, it's fun to like read what they have to say, and and I want to write everybody back, but I also just I don't know. I don't always have the words to express how grateful I am. I mean, yes, there are things that I have that I had to unpack from my dressing spot or take out of my locker when we had to clear our things. And you know, it just means so much to me.
Yeah.
Like I can't even believe the stuff they come up with or how creative they are or talented. And but I don't need any of that. I just love that they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's always a motivator to keep doing that kind of work too, because the audience receives it so greatly and so fondly, and then we create the nostalgia for them.
I know, which is crazy because I get so much back, you know, and I think that's something that I'm really missing that I didn't know I needed until like you don't have it anymore.
Right.
Because, you know, and the last day that I worked before the park closed.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on Saturday and there was one more work day and then the park closed. So Saturday was my last day because I was off Sunday, Monday. And, you know, we knew we were going to have a couple weeks off, but then I came back from a set and this college programmer stopped me backstage and just like said, "Oh, I want to thank you and the rest of your cast for all the magic." And he said, they're sending the college programmers home, so we have to go home. And I was like, wow, then that's really something is happening, because how do you dismiss thousands of your workforce?
Whole program.
You know, this is going to be bigger than 2 weeks. And so it really, because ever since Hunchback closed, I always have this panic of I'm going to lose my job any second, right? Yeah. And I suppress it at times, and then other times it really bubbles up. So that was the moment where I'm like, where are they going home? You know, who's going to do everything? Because they're everywhere. So I just really made sure, and I told one of my castmates about, you know, I'm like, you know, I just have to make sure I soak it all in, because this could be my last day. So I don't want to forget one piece of it. And like someone, there's this amazing group called the Mouselets who have made pins of our cast. Yeah. And they're like the smartest kids and the nicest family. And I'm like, I am an idiot that acts like a fool. And these kids are so enterprising and like putting all this good out in the world. Well, one of them was there that day and like she was taping something. And someone sent it to me on TikTok like days later.
I was going to say, I know them from TikTok.
But like, I cherished this stupid moment she caught, because it was nothing that I planned to do, but I was just like playing the notes on the accordion and the last one wasn't there. And so my girl sang it for me.
Nice.
And I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm so grateful that she captured that, because that was really fun. And then this other gentleman came up to me, you know, I was interacting with people and I could tell like he was kind of, you know, hanging around. So, you know, and he told me something that like, I can't even accept the information as fast as it's coming to me. Right. And I wish we were in a private area so I could like react and give him the moment he needs. He told me that he showed me this video on his phone, and it was of me. And I guess he had there were many school groups there at that time, because kids were doing the performing arts thing that, you know, in March. And he was there with the high school for their senior trip. And the year before, I guess I had done a scene on the street with his principal, who was really good looking. And I think it ended up that a lot of the kids were passing by at that time. So it just ended up being a big spectacle. And like all the kids started chanting something with me, I believe. And it was really fun. So he showed me this video and he said, he was our principal and he passed away. Oh. And they named the school after him since. Like it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's happening too fast for me to process it, because in my head, what I'm thinking is, because this guy was the vice principal and he was attractive too. And in my head, I'm like, you look like Peter Parker's boss. And is everyone who works at your school this attractive? But then he's telling me the serious stuff. And it's like breaking my heart. And the other like guests are around hearing it, which I don't want them to feel bad, but I want this man to like, and I just thought, if this is my last day, like that was something amazing that just happened.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I looked up the school and I wanted to write the guy a letter and I never did, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
the impressions that you make, you know, you don't even know to what extent it does until it hits you in the face like that.
Right. But he doesn't know how huge that was for me and how big and how much that mattered on that day. Yeah. And anyway, that was just, I knew I needed to remember that day. And like that interaction kept me on the street so much longer that my sweet, sweet tech I was exiting and my tech was driving up in a Pargo, like, we were worried about you. And then like one of my coworkers was outside the trail, like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I just had a really good set and I didn't want to leave. And,
Yeah. Take it in the moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I only had about 10 minutes till we had to go out for our next set after that. And I knew the guy was going to meet his group at the front of and I thought maybe he's still there. And I ran out the gate to see if I could find him just to tell him what that meant. Or, I had more wherewithal at that time, but they were.
Yeah. You'll definitely have to write them.
Yeah.
This needs to be an ongoing story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
My God. I'm telling you. And not bad looking people like that. When my character flirts with people,
yeah,
art is imitating life.
Yeah. Not too difficult to do sometimes. Yeah.
No, and she's got so much more game than I do. And she can just get away with everything.
Yeah.
So
funny.
The boundaries are down.
Mm-hmm.
They are so down. And I think that's why I miss it so much, because she's like the 5-year-old version of me where, I would dance and sing in front of my mirror for hours and play all this stuff. And that's her. She believes she can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I love that because, the jaded adult Heather is no, there's so much self-doubt and especially this year, so much insecurity but she doesn't have any of that. And I love it. And I miss her, and I miss her, so.
It's going to get back there. It's going to get back.
Yes.
In some fashion. It's rough.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sooner would be nice. Yeah. We have Ali Flores on here all the time, and I'm starting to think that you're going to need to have the same kind of open door policy anytime you want. Just come on here and.
Oh,
yes.
Thanks.
Seriously,
it's so fun, but I want to get you talking more.
That'll be the tease next time.
That'll be the next one.
Talk? Yeah, you come on and come after
You
me.
may be the only one that can make him talk.
Does he enjoy the Hallmark movies?
Oh yeah, he's all.
I know.
And okay, can I say what an awesome present I gave you for your birthday?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So his
a
birthday
cameo from Nikki DeLoach.
Yes. Oh no,
well,
close. Oh, so close, so close. It was. Why am I blanking on her name?
Alicia Witt.
Alicia Witt. I did do a cameo from Alicia Witt because that's his favorite Hallmark actress. So
I love her. And I'm not getting enough of her anymore.
I know. I don't think I even saw the new one this year.
You didn't see the Movies and Mysteries one? That's where she was this year.
It premiered in October, and then I never saw it because I don't watch until after Thanksgiving. So I have rules.
Jen will send you the link of the Zoom meeting. And,
please.
Yes, for sure.
Was it very rich? Was she good?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She sang.
Yeah. She sang Happy Birthday. Oh my goodness, I was so excited.
God.
You watched me melt a little bit on camera because Jen showed it to me in the moment and recorded the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I really like her. Like the one where there was the mix up and she ended up with the other guy who she got along better with, which could be any of the 5 million Hallmark movies.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
We love Nikki DeLoach too. Don't get
us.
Definitely.
Yes.
Nikki DeLoach, come on. And she was a Mouseketeer.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's part of
way back.
Did you ever see her in the girl group at House of Blues here?
No.
Innocent?
Oh no. Now I have to think about that.
Get the Google.
Yeah. I'll put it in my Google machine.
They opened for NSYNC, I believe, but they may have also done their own show. I mean, they were great.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll have to look that. Yeah, because my memory is going. Wait, it's something. There's something there. That's what. That'll be our leading topic next time you come on, Heather.
That's right.
I can't. I mean,
we have a whole agenda already.
If we get on Hallmark,
that's it.
That's all I want to do. I just want to be on set, and I just want to be in the background, like drinking coffee in the coffee shop that the big city person wanders into, wanting a fancy coffee that they don't sell there. I just want to be in there.
Yeah. Okay. Can I tell you my fantasy that just happened?
Yeah.
So it involves Frank. No, I'm kidding.
Go on.
I leave to go to work on New Year's Eve day, and outside my door in my apartment hallway is a beautiful, huge box of citrus for the former tenant who I think moved out last May. So I tried to do my due diligence and like Google this name, right? Or go to my mailbox to see if there's a forwarding address because his name is in there.
Mhm.
And, there's no, like, it just says it's from the company, not from a person, but it just says happy holidays from Larry. And I feel sorry for Larry because he's never going to get a thank you note.
Yeah.
So after telling my predicament and not being able to find it, I even wrote the company, who I still haven't heard from, by the way. My friends voted I should just start eating it because it's perishable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But my fantasy was this guy's going to show up to get his box of fruit.
Mhm.
And we're going to fall in love.
Yes.
And it's going to be the Hallmark movie.
You gonna open a door with like the apple in your mouth, like, huh?
And then I'd be like, I owe you some grapefruits and tangelos and navels. And he'll be like, I'll let you get that for me after I take you to dinner. And I'll be like, okay.
So here's what you do from that, since it didn't happen. You write a very citrus Christmas, and it's next year's Hallmark movie.
I love it.
Yes. You
Good
write,
A very
you star in
citrus
it,
Christmas.
all of it. Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
I like it.
There's my project.
Boom. There it is.
We're here to
And
send you
there
off.
we go. The person who zooms on her phone because her laptop is so anxious, it is incapable of updates. And the computer that her friend gave her because he feels sorry for her that doesn't have a camera, I'm totally going to make a movie. Yeah.
Yes. A
Got it.
very citrus Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
That is an excellent title.
Oh, thank you.
This is so fun. I really like you guys.
No, it was so great to talk to you. And I swear to God, we're going to do it again. Till that time, she's Jen. I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces.
Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz, featuring Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo Snyder. The theme was composed by Matt Harvey. The intro and the outro was performed by Lindsay Zarugian. The Dillo's Diz fact checker is Mel Dell. You can follow Dillo's Diz on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok at Dillo's Diz. Dillo's with an S, Diz with a Z. You can give a like to Dillo's Diz on Facebook, facebook.com/Dillo's Diz. And you can subscribe to Dillo's Diz on YouTube, youtube.com/Dillo's Diz. That is where you'll find the Parks and Monorail's most magical hour every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dillo's Diz, the Monday Morning Monorail podcast, are together indefinitely. Go to dillosdiz.com for throwbacks, archives, blogs, and more. dillosdiz.com. We'll see you real soon, and that real soon is next week for Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. The Improviser's Guide Network 2021.